Bannerlord can be a brutally hard game. Often you're outnumbered and massive armies march against you. Well, in this new series, we're going to work together, friends. What I want you to do is send me your difficult situations that you're either currently encountering in Bannerlord in your campaign, or something that you've dealt with in the past where you're just unable to solve it. I will do my very best to handle these difficult situations. I will share the results on YouTube, provided they have some kind of educational value for people. We will take on these difficult challenges, do some battlefield analysis, and hopefully help you turn around a very, very difficult battle. So join me on this adventure. Please send me your difficult situations. Have a little patience. I don't know how many there are going to be, but I'm willing to take these challenges on for you fellas as we handle your disasters of war. Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and welcome back to another episode of our Disaster of War series as we are helping Robert here. This guy sent in his game file with a disaster situation, and I'll paraphrase his email here. He basically said he has a siege going on. I'm kind of looking at the game and my phone at the same time. He does not have his siege equipment fully built out, and he gets pinched here between two different armies. Alright, so I see what's going on. He's sieging. He built trebuchets to blast down their siege. They still have quite a bit of siege. I would imagine he has some difficulty with siege skills, right? This is definitely an epidemic out there in the Bannerlord world. Don't neglect that siege skill. You will dominate in siege once your siege skills are higher. But let's go ahead and do a brief audit of the situation here. And presumably, so this guy's coming in hot, right? This army here, if we hit play... continue the siege. He comes barreling in here, engaging Robert's party. So there's a large force of the Western Empire here engaging us, and they've got kind of a mixed army of medium quality troops. And Robert here, he says he's late game. I'm just going to sort of paraphrase. We'll put his email up at some point. In fact, I'm just going to spend a minute looking at his army, and I'll tell myself, we'll put his email up on the side over here. He says he's got a late game campaign. He says... it sounds like he's a bit of a perfectionist. He said he's max clan tier. I'm trying to start my own kingdom, but based on his previous experiences, he's done it too soon. Believe me, we all feel the pain there. You make your kingdom too early and you get your shit pushed in. Bannerlord's no longer fun, and then you got to go back to work the next weekday, and you're angry. Let's help Robert out here. Let's try to figure out this situation. We are playing the 1.32 beta, and we do have the RTS mod loaded, but there's no other mods here. Alright, so let's do a real quick audit of his kingdom here, of his situation. And he's got the units on lower tiered first. And it's pretty rough, right? No offense to Robert, of course. Maybe he just got captured and is rebuilding his army here. But he's got a pretty weak army, right? 58 Imperial archers. These are just, you know, the scuzziest guys with a bow conceivable. They got like a blacksmith's apron on. 60 recruits, right? So this really is a disaster of war situation. He has some other forces here. This is the best way to look at them, is just to click that donate troop button. And at least there's some decent troops here. But I think net, like, this is a really, really tough situation. And that's good. Right now, you got some good troops there. Let's make sure we're on the unit higher. This thing, you want this on the highest level for critical battles. All right, so let's suss out the situation here as well. He's got 786 troops. This guy's going to attack. It says engaging. The garrison will sally out, is what will happen. Right now... we could leave. This would for sure be the safest thing to do. And Robert maybe has already passed this. I can't remember glancing at his email whether or not he said he wanted the save game back. It's taken me a little while to get to this because I've been busy with other projects. That would be the safest thing to do for sure, is to leave. And we could either outrun this force or maybe fight him in the open here. There's one army inside that would probably come out and try to attack us. That would be, for sure be the easiest thing. So that's what we're not going to do, right? We're not here to show you the easiest way to play Bannerlord. That would be your field battle that you can win. And I guess if we lose this... actually, there's two scenarios here. We're going to do them both because I'm crazy about Bannerlord, and I want to show you guys options for your campaign. The enemy has 3 catapults built, and we have no siege weapons. But if we lead an assault right now, what will we have? We will have 2 different areas with ladders. And he does have a ranged heavy army here. Let's look briefly at his companions. Let's do it through this direction. Javelins, Ramphai, he's got infantry, skirmisher. So this guy's got an infantry army, which is amazing timing because I happen to be working on an all infantry or mostly infantry series with javelin heavy tactics. So it's almost like you've got a camera in my room watching me play Bannerlord, Robert, because this is going to be perfect. We're going to be able to apply some of those tactics here. Javelins are very powerful in Bannerlord. Now, I see a major problem here. There's no archer captains here whatsoever. In fact, all the skills kind of across the board here, he really lacks archers, and maybe that's intentional, right? Maybe he's doing an archer campaign. Not a single guy has any skill here. His wife's got a very base level of skill. The only person here who's actually used a firing weapon is Robert. So you know what we're going to actually do is put him in charge of one of the divisions, because you need to have good captains. It's essential that you have good captains assigned to your divisions. And ironically, this is probably the banner I would recommend. I don't know. Actually, we do know infantry. I want more ranged damage. We're going to have to pour arrows into our enemy here. They have lots of infantry. I didn't see the other forces. The garrison's going to sally out. We've got a lot of skirmishers here, and let's make sure we've got some good banners. This is a worthless banner. No offense, Robert, but your shields are almost never getting broken in Bannerlord, at least not in short battles like this will rate to be. So let's do something like this. Now this infantryman, Iron Belly, we'll put him in charge of an infantry division. Whatever division he's in, they're going to take a lot less damage. Now this one is useful. Let's see if there's any shock troops here. This looks like a shocked unit. Shock troops, guys that swing a two-handed weapon here. Well, he's got a broken weapon. We need to fix that. We're just going to do this 60 more seconds for those getting patient with this shit. And I don't actually want him using anything except that axe. So that's what I'd like to do. You got an axe, motherfucker. You're going to use it. And we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to use this, right? The increased melee damage to mounted troops, because we want a shock division, a division of troops with two-handed weapons that kills cavalry. Now, we also need a defensive captain, and this guy's sort of perfectly... This is the kind of armament you want for a defensive captain. We will give him... let's give him one of these decreased melee damage, because he's going to get attacked by damage, right? Or by melee, right? The cavalry will be slamming into him, etc. Now, this guy looks like a nice skirmisher captain. He's got some javelins. Increased range damage is good for skirmishers. I think you could argue this is more important. Let's try this. Increased melee damage. He's going to be using these weapons, right? He's going to be in combat at some point. And that's about as much as we can do there. So let's see. What we're going to do is do this twice, maybe even 3 times. This first one here, we're going to siege the city with no ram, with nothing, right? We're just going to go in here, change the difficulty to Bannerlord, and lead an assault, right? We can let this force get closer. There's an argument for letting him to get closer, because maybe one of these trebuchets will land one more killer shot here. Kill it. Yeah, beautiful. So at least one more catapult is down, but now you want to lead the assault, right? Because otherwise these forces are going to attack us here. Do some upgrades before we launch our way in. All right, friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. We are going to just insert this part at the beginning of this episode. In fact, I'm going to do some fancy editing. What I'm going to do is have the second of 2 scenarios here basically edited and pushed to the back of the video. There were serious bugs trying to siege Omor in this situation. You will probably see a lot of the lead up to that, and then I'm sort of going to break in and edit. I'm picturing in my mind just putting this in right before we started the siege, because there were all kinds of bugs. You will be able to watch that if you care. The setup probably would have been successful, trying to siege this city with no ladders. And again, since I know I'm already going to include that other section, I'm not going to talk extensively about this guy's army here. We are going to try to fight an open field battle instead. The secondary idea that I had, very difficult situation. Now, this for sure would be the best thing to do. Leave the siege, right? That way the garrison doesn't come out after you. If you are in this status here saying continue the siege and the enemy comes up, when they attack, this garrison force here will sally out. Now, the militia won't, but this force will. And as you can see, looking at the units, Imperial Elite, Manablion, Sergeant Crossbow, it's loaded with good troops. And more worrisome, there's a lot of archers here. I say worrisome because our army is ranged heavy, skirmishers, and archers, almost no cavalry. So this is a very difficult proposition. Even just this 1,000 might be really difficult, but we're crazy on the channel like that. And even with this weak army that we've already showed you, we're going to try this battle in the open field. Now, still going to make just a few adjustments here at the beginning to some of the units. Right, this is just absolutely essential. Just speed this along until we're engaged. All right, so that part is started. Going to go along here and just edit a few of these. Again, I mentioned it in the first one. This guy is going to be our archer, right? He's got increased troop movement speed, and more importantly, he's got a heap of perks because at some point or other, Robert was using a bow. Now, we're not going to use a bow for this scenario here. We are going to fight on horse, throw some javelins, but he has no other archer captains, and that's critical in battle, is to have correct captains assigned to divisions where they're helpful. Mentioned this before as well. A lot of his guys got sort of worthless banners here. The decreased taken shield, also generally speaking, the morale banners are worthless in the late stage. You want to have your units set up with decreased melee damage, decreased ranged attack damage. In this case, we talked about it in the first one, this guy is going to be our shock troop captain. We'll give him an axe and nothing else. I don't want him doing anything except killing people that I tell him to, right? He looks like a guy who just follows orders. And then finally, this guy here we talked about, we will make him an infantry division captain with that nice assortment of defensive gifts. All right, so let's launch into this and see what it looks like. We've got to change the difficulty here again to Bannerlord, and then hopefully you don't mind that brief little start to that. Now we're up against a Western Empire force twice our size with lots of ranged weapons, right? So what does that mean? That means a ranged skirmish is almost certain. So you want to try to use the landscape to your best advantage. Now, a couple critical things. It's 800 versus 1600. That means we're going to start with about 350 troops. They'll have about 650. That is because the ratio of troops at the beginning of a battle determines the ratio of troops on the field if you have less than the maximum size. We're running 1,000 max army troops. So basically, since the enemy outnumbers us 2-to-1, that's what it looks like on the battlefield once you start. By the way, the worst you can be outnumbered with the vanilla system is 3-to-1. So if you're outnumbered 10-to-1 in a battle, you will still be only outnumbered 3-to-1 on the field, which is obviously a bit of an advantage in that situation. All right, let's assign some captains here. We got to switch a few of these divisions again. Let's see, first, let's make the 6th division weak skirmishers. Actually, just regular skirmishers is fine. We'll zoom down to the field too and basically suss out these units. I'm going to take my time here because the siege was a debacle. I don't imagine a lot of people are going to benefit much from watching it. That said, we're going to include this at the back of the channel. It's also almost like a plea for Tailworlds to please fix this shit, right? Because there are still obviously problems. Now, however you do this, I recommend you be consistent, and so I just changed it on myself. We're going to make Robert in charge of the 4th division because typically in my own campaigns, when I have a strong archer division, I usually run at least 2 archer divisions. I make it be the 4th division. Now I'm thinking here. There's a lot of crossbow here. You know what? We're going to change it up again. I'm going to make this a crossbow division. That is because they will run out of ammo early. And by doing this, all these guys with a shield with 1 quiver, right? If your infantryman has a shield, he can only have 1 quiver of bolts or arrows. So all of this, and excuse me, I said infantry. If your archers have a shield, like all of these units do, they will run out of ammo because they only have 1 quiver. Meanwhile, your higher tier archers, your 5th tier archers, a lot of these guys, you see how they have 2 quivers? We want to take advantage of that. This 4th division will run out of ammo way before the 5th. So what that means is that this 4th division will augment our infantry. And that's important because we don't have a lot of infantry, right? Now we're going to be able to assign some captains here. We noticed he's got a blood axe fella who's got really good stats, decreased taken melee attack damage. That guy can be in charge of the initial infantry square. Here's our shock troop captain, Mitch Blacktooth. He will be paired with the cavalry division, shield and shock classic strategy that we use on the channel all the time. And it'd be nice if we had... Oh, and I got to change this. Although Liena is kind of interesting too. She's got a nice skill set and decreased taken melee attack damage. She'll be in that 4th division. You might say, well, archers, melee. Yeah, remember these guys are going to be fighting soon. They will be in a shield wall charging with the rest of our troops. All right, let's just toss a few more of these guys in. Increased melee damage, typically you want on infantry or cavalry. The other thing that's going on here, right, is that we do not have any archer captains. And I mentioned that before, but it's really glaring right here because we don't have any really good captains for the cavalry or the archers. That's a pretty significant disadvantage in a battle like this. All right, strategically, it's very tempting to roar up on them. Right? Let's get to them, shoot them downfield. No, don't do that. Not in the initial stages of a battle. Pull way back. If it's a battle you must win, see if the enemy will come to you first. There's huge advantages to doing so, but the biggest in a battle like this, and I mentioned this before with the battle, with the troops on the field, there's roughly 2,000 troops on the field. It's actually a little bit more. That means there's going to be whole reinforcement waves. In other words, we're going to get basically our same army twice. If we're way down there fighting them, our reinforcements will come in here when we're getting killed, and they'll have to trudge hundreds of yards over the plains to join the battle. That's obviously a disadvantage for us. So we can basically turn this into an advantage if the enemy comes to us. And I say if because there's definitely a chance they don't. Right? These guys may just sit there entrenched. Although, you know what? I just realized they attacked us. Even though we were sieging, I was thinking we were the aggressor because we're the sieger, but we're not because the AI attacked us in this situation. Right? We're sieging, and an army comes up and relieves the siege. That means by default the enemy is offensive and we're on defense, right? That's a very important thing for players to understand. Now we're going to form a defensive side here with the 2nd and 3rd Division. I can do this. Let's just give you this overhead view so you can see what we're doing here. We're trying to create almost a castle-like defense for our ranged units. We're going to get shot at. That's a guarantee. The enemy has a lot of archers, and they outnumber us for archers, right? We'll look at the numbers in a second here. You also noticed I held fire with all of our archers and skirmishers. Critical because they will shoot this whole distance away, hundreds of yards, and it will do 3 and 2 and haplessly hit a shield. And by the time the enemy gets to you, you will be low or out of ammo. We can't tolerate that in a battle like this, right? If we're going to win this kind of a battle, we must have every advantage conceivable. Now we're forming a classic C formation here. I'm going to put my crossbow close to the 2nd and 3rd Division. You can, in a way, consider these 3 different divisions married because the crossbow supports the cavalry and shock troops. The shock troops protect the archers. The shock troops protect the cavalry. The cavalry slow down enemy cavalry charges trying to get to your archers. You guys see what we got going on here. We got 3 buddies over there doing their thing. Now the 1st Division, they look like they're on an island in the battlefield, and that's because they are. This is strong infantry with shields. I want these guys protecting themselves from the incoming barrage of weapons. Now the enemy's close enough to shoot, so what we're going to start doing here is opening fire. What I want to do, open fire first, is the 5th Division because most of these guys have 2 quivers, right? They've got lots and lots of arrows. A lot of them can't actually see. This is why it's important to be down on the battlefield. I'm going to switch to the field view here in a second once you guys get an overview. The next one I want to do is, you notice this side here? I don't see any troops at all sneaking up on this flank. Let's move this division forward. Now, why would you do that? A couple reasons. First, they have cavalry here. Cavalry are severely hampered by trees, so we're going to move this division. I say division, it's the whole side of our army. We call it divisions in the fire service, right? We would say this is Division Bravo because they're on that particular side of the emergency. Now you hear the arrows hitting our shields. I've got all these cavalrymen up here. Most of them have a shield and they're absorbing arrows. They're very, very good at doing that, despite the fact that archers are more deadly now. Now the horse archers here, we can open fire. Where's their... Okay, so this cav division we're keeping an eye on. This division of cavalry here is both protecting against archers and protecting our horse archers. I'm also going to shield wall our skirmishers here. In this early barrage stage, right, where we're exchanging arrows, both sides are shooting at each other over hundreds of yards. The enemy's typically doesn't have the greatest formations. They're in here much more packed and tight, and that's essential because I think if the AI used good tactics here, we could not win. Looking over this army closer, this is an incredibly powerful force that we're facing here, and probably, if I'm completely honest, a battle we can't win. And I say that just based on a lot of experience. You say, what the hell are you doing over here? I thought you were playing defense. We are, but I want some enfilade fire. Just like Nelson at the Battle of the Nile, Battle of Trafalgar, You want to use naval tactics in battle, and the best way to do that is by crossing the enemy's T's. Now this force of archers over here, it's actually crossbow that I'm moving up, mostly crossbow. We're moving them so that they're shooting right through the enemy ranks. They can't miss. Not only is the enemy packed, and the enemy they don't like that, it looks like. Not only is the enemy packed, but we're now sort of crossing their T's. And it's interesting, they rotated their entire formation to deal with that archer division. That's fine. This is why we have 2 archer divisions. We're going to make them face us. One of these 2 different divisions of archers, they're going to have to basically deal with. Now, we're also going to give these guys a little bit of protection here. Just move the cavalry in. Think about it like a defensive screen, right? This line of cavalry that I just moved, it's their job now to attract attention, attract arrows, and frankly, they're going to die, right? Now, we don't have cavalry superiority, right? You're outnumbered exactly 2 to 1 here. It's kind of perfect for a tactical demonstration. Now, their cavalry's actually doing some really good stuff here, almost like a player would do. They're flanking. They're trying to get essentially an angle on us. That's not good for us because it exposes our shock troops to their archers right here. I'm going to move our shock troops over, and this is actually optimal. At least we can get some kills from our shock troops. We charge, have them send themselves in there. Meanwhile, we're pounding the enemy with arrows. Now, the enemy's changed their tune here. They're like, fuck it, we charge, we're losing. So, what we're going to start to do is surround them here. I've got horse archers that are mobile. We're going to push this cav division over here up into the face of the enemy. Move this horse archer division a little closer. And this is where you wanted that speed banner for your archers. These guys can all kite, and we're going to start doing that. Not yet. You want them taking these shots. These are the most damaging shots, right? These guys are shooting very point blank into the enemy forces, and we need this advantage in this battle. I would say the distance to start moving these guys back is 20 yards. Let's start moving them right now. Apologies, my fucking phone. Usually we silence that. We're being unprofessional today. All right, now over here, let's do this too. The 4th Division is going to run out of ammo early on. I already mentioned that before. Where's our 6th Division too? We're going to move these guys in. The enemy is getting cabbed through and starting to charge our archers. This was inevitability, right? This 1st Division, we want to continue to kite back. They're our main bait at this stage. Now, our army's all over the place, right? There's all kinds of different fighting going on. This is just going to be a thing in some situations. What I'm doing is I'm clicking that little horse so that those units try to kill that cavalry. The enemy's charging in. While they're doing that, they're being smoked with arrows, right? We have archers on the other side over here. It is a modified kill box. We don't really have the right army to do this. And look at that fire, right? These guys are being absolutely torched by that 4th Division. Now let's get aggressive with the enemy. Fuck these enemy forces. I want to win. We're going to bring our horse archers up close. And we're going to try to basically hammer them with flanking fire. I'm also going to charge with our 1st archers. At this stage, right, you want your units starting to apply a lot of pressure. They're bringing their crossbow up. Again, this is probably a battle we can't win. When I look closely, the enemy's packed with iron and tough troops, right? This is probably a bad situation for us, but I'm doing everything we can here to win this battle. We've got our archers kited. Our infantry's been doing a good job kiting until the moment was right. We can now bring our shock troops over here to try to close the vice. Remember, those shock troops are low or out of ammo, and I'll show you where you can look. I can't do it while I'm holding the mouse, but look in the lower left corner here. That little white thing underneath my character's face, it looks like a little bar where there's just a little tiny white blip. That's how much ammo that 4th Division has. They're almost out. I charge at this stage. Have those guys fly into combat. This division too, a lot of them are just holding their sword. They're out of ammo too. And you say, why would you charge with archers against infantry? We need reinforcements, and we're going to get them soon. And we mentioned it before. Where are the reinforcements going to come out? Right here. So we actually just want everybody to charge. Now I'm going to make a couple exceptions here. Divisions that might be closer to the other side of the enemy force, I want to bring them closer first. I'm micromanaging it, basically saying, get your asses over here. I need these guys into battle quickly. You can see the enemy has archers that they're trying to move up. We're going to move our guys in there to attack them as fast as we can. Now this guy's got good javelin skill. I'm going to try to help here because now that we're in the just straight combat stage, before play is over, it's time for heavy blows, right? And just F1, F3. Your archers that have ammo will still shoot, but your archers that are out of ammo will charge up. And they're not going to do well. I see Legionnaires and Avalons galore in here. This is not a scenario where it's probably supposed to win, but we're going to try. Now these guys, beautiful, are reinforcements, and look at where they are. The enemy's absolutely trapped. We'll use this one more time here. We've got forces all around him here, and our reinforcements are right behind him. Now they're trying to throw javelins. I know this by feel. A lot of his units are trying to throw javelins. In this case, don't do that. Have these fuckers charge and hold fire. I want every single guy going up there attacking this regrouping force. So if these Imperial fucks are trying to get out of here and regroup, fuck them. I also want to reposition our archers closer so that they're shooting the enemy downhill. The last thing I want to do is basically suss out the next enemy threat. They're way down the hill here. We don't want any of our forces engaging down there. We want them right here. Kill this fucking infantry vanguard. If we can do that, then maybe, just maybe, we can win this battle. Probably not, but maybe, just maybe. All right, let's get down to the field again. Now, I pulled that archer division back, but there's a lot of them still without ammo. I did that because I moved them up. I want them engaging and getting their asses into combat. The next thing I want to do is right here. I told that infantry to hold fire to attack the enemy infantry. Now you actually want them throwing your javelins because the enemy is starting to gain a little bit of range on us. All right, they're coming in with big, nasty cav charges. That's bad. I'm going to make a defensive line here of cavalry. It's a cav screen while the rest of our units work. Now, we should get reinforcement archers at some point. I don't see... Oh, here they are. They're in the 5th. We're going to take advantage of this. I've got a lot of archers here in one division, so I'm going to make a whole separate division and put it off to the flank. It's going to take them 30, 40 seconds to get there. That's okay, right? We need those guys getting to a good spot where they have flanking enemy, angles on the enemy. All right, the next thing we're going to do is charge at the 2nd Division. They've done a good job of grabbing attention. You can also just send them away, and what that'll do is drag a lot of the enemy forces away while we set up formations here. I'm going to fight the rest of this battle. I'll probably talk about little things here, but we're done with the slow-mo, right? This battle's getting bloody. It's close. We definitely have a shot to win it still. I want to win because I'm a competitive alpha male. I fucking hate losing to a computer. This 5th Division can charge. Anybody that's out of ammo there can do their thing. We're very close to an F1, F3. And anybody's like, wow, see, Tactical Enlightenment, all they do is F1, F3. Sort of, right? We do a lot of tactics before, and then once the battle gets to this stage, where it's just, it looks like a garage sale where there's antique relics for sale for $10 and it's just chaos. Right? At this stage, you just fight it out. F1, F3 is appropriate now at this stage. And this is your job for sure. Anybody who's not doing this, you can just go through and kill the most critical archers, 2 or 3 every swing, even though we're being chased pretty something fierce here. When you got a glaive, right, take advantage of that shit, rake the enemy, kill high-end archers, keep moving though, right? That's the absolute numero uno key, right? You get jammed up like that, and you're probably going to get killed. It's still pretty close, but I think we've lost this battle. The enemy has just tons of archers filtering up, and they have manifestly better troops than us. In this situation, if you remember the initial army, we had something like 120, 150 Tier 1 and Tier 2 units. So this has been an uphill battle from the get-go. Your Sergeant Crossbow priority target, right? They're coming up. They're some of the best archer infantry in the game. I say archer infantry because they really are basically an infantryman after they run out of bolts. That is why we held fire with ours. Man, it's close. And I'm starting to get hit with throwing weapons because we're running out of troops. And so the AI is starting to prioritize Robert in this situation. Still close, still close. You could argue to get some infantry up here in a square, right? What do we have? 48. Did we just get a big infantry flush? It looks like it. Let's try to take advantage of it. I'm moving them to 2 different sides. Oh, they're all peasants. So straight charge. There's no flanking when you have peasants. They're going to get killed with arrows. Get them into battle immediately. They've got to be super aggressive in this kind of a situation. And they're fodder, right? It's cannon fodder, the proverbial cannon fodder. Better that they're hit than all of our archers. Now, again, charging with a bunch of peasants against 200 archers is probably the easiest way in the game to have your screen fill with red. And of course, we've mentioned it several times. You're not supposed to win this battle. They are occupying the enemy. How many archers do we have? We got 69 archers. This battle is over. But at least we've given you a lot of tips all in one battle. And it's not like we need to win somehow for like ego or something like that, right? We're here for instruction. I have no intention. My lifelong goal is not to be named, you know, a great Bannerlord player. I'm here to help people. My family has a long line of military leaders and teachers, so I'm sort of ironically bred almost to be a teacher of Bannerlord. And even though we lost this situation, and as you'll soon see, the siege was a disaster as well, I still feel like this is going to be beneficial to a lot of players. We showed an awful lot of shit all in one episode here, as you guys are tolerant of my caffeinated rambling. All right, now how do we do here? We still got a better than a 1-to-1 kill ratio. When you're outnumbered in a bad situation like that, that's actually pretty good. Had Robert had a normally upgraded army, I think this is a battle we win. And just, you know, because we like winning on the channel, what we'll do at the very end of this video is I will include a sped up version of what I would have done here if Robert absolutely had to survive. All right, on to the debacle of a siege defense. Hopefully we don't have the same siege bug. I've been having a bug pretty consistently with siege. All right, we're all set here. Lead and assault. So we have no siege ram, no siege towers. And the enemy has catapults and a large defensive force. You know what? I've almost never done a scenario like this. This is highly and not recommended, right? But that's kind of the purpose, the whole purpose of this series really is to do stuff like this and experiment. So let's go ahead and split some divisions here. Leanna actually has good bow skill, although she's also got a nice captain's. Let's go ahead and make her a mixed division. She's got a nice captain's mix overall. Anytime you've got a perk list that looks like that, you want them in charge of a lot of troops because these captain perks apply to all of the troops that are in her army, right? So we're going to give her skirmishers and shielded archers, hopefully crossbow, and all of those perks will apply to her. Now, I'm a little nervous because a lot of times when I set up my divisions with Bannerlord these days, these divisions all get broken into pieces. There's our shock guy. And there's no ram here, right? We don't have to worry about positioning at all because these guys are all going up on the wall. We're all going to have to take the ladders, right? The other thing we got to do is we have to close to the city as soon as you can. In fact, you could make a small argument here for optimal performance. Give everybody movement banners because we're going to try to close to range here in a hurry, right? We've got to get these troops up to the wall so that you don't get hit by siege. It's at a distance that you're vulnerable to siege. And here, obviously, we're going to try to close in a hurry. He's got all kinds of mixed divisions here. Let's just fix this real quick. We like to do these in one try. Every once in a while, if it's really close, we'll take 2 tries here. But we're hopefully going to be able to do this in one try. We'll make a skirmisher division here for the second. And then the only other division here that's going to be specialized is this first division. Decreased taken melee attack damage. Where's that other guy? This guy's got even better perks. Let's switch these captains. This guy's Ilmor Blood Axe is going to lead the way here. And what I mean is lead the way up the ladder, right? So we're going to have first, second, fifth, sixth over here. Third and fourth in the center. And I know it's confusing right now. I will walk you through kind of my thought process. Yeah, good, the divisions stayed the same. Now, the first thing you want to do right away, you're facing lots of catapults, right? In this situation, they have 2, and I think they're both fire catapults, is tell everybody, spread, right? They're going to get hit still, but at least it doesn't kill the huge globs as they're concentrated. Now, the archers are running up. A lot of them will do their own thing. We're not going to let them do that. We're eventually going to deal with this other side here. And what I mean is by the other side is this center, but our approach is going to be on the left here. So we're going to give them a little bit of archers. That's the 3rd, 4th, and 6th over there. That means the 1st, 2nd, 5th, which is Leanna, 7th, and 8th all come over here. And there's going to be a couple things I don't, or a couple things I do at the beginning here. The 2nd and 5th, we're holding fire. The reason is because as we close here, we are going to be confronted with troops on the walls, and we don't want them throwing all the javelins at the 6 archers that are up there, right? There's not very many troops on the walls yet. There will be, but right now it's not that big of a threat. So we're bringing the infantry up because we're going to immediately send this infantry up this wall. Then we're going to go 10 the other side. Now, hopefully we can get these guys up here. Your guys need Jenny Craig, Robert. They're moving slow, and of course, that's why I said the aforementioned speed battles would be handy. Now that they're here, charge. Now, what's going to happen is the enemy's going to fill all the different spots here with troops. It's going to try to basically stop you getting up these ladders, right? Get up there, boys. And what we want to do is with this 2nd division, just have them in a nice spread, or it doesn't really even matter, a shield wall or whatever right there. We're going to basically create a hegemony on this side of the city. We're going to overwhelm it. In fact, here they come. The enemy's starting to come up to the walls. So this 2nd division, and do we hold the 5th too? The 5th division can be told to fire. That way they start to clear it. Over here, this 3rd and 4th division, we're going to take them also up to the ladders. Now the AI is already trying. You can also wait for the gears to pop up, and that's how you assign them to climb the ladder. I hope you guys caught that. We'll just do it again. Just hold your division over the ladder. It turns into those little blue gears, and that puts those guys into motion. Most of the time, you'll see them start running up here to man those ladders. Now they're getting pushed off and stuff like that. That's just fine. What division are you guys? Maybe they're not going to obey. There we go. Get up there. Can't see. Sometimes you got to crank this up. I don't like having this on bright, but for instructional episodes like this, this is the 4th division. They're not taking the ladders very readily. These guys are being disobedient. This shit happens, right? In a Bannerlord battle like this, you're going to definitely get disobedient fucks. What you want to do here is charge and have those guys get onto those ladders so that they're weighed down. Now, what do we got going on here? Got some disobedient shit here. All right, so let's talk about this side over here. What we want to do is make a puncture, and we want to get troops up there. Now, it looks like they're still not doing very well here with the ladder. Right, we will try to assign those guys to get up there. In this 2nd division, we're going to charge too. We're going to get up there. We're actually going to lead the way here. For some reason, the AI is still not using the ladder very well, and I say still because Tail Worlds has fixed this shit several times. And it seems like they fix it, and then the same problems crop up. I've been watching the 1.32, and it does seem better, but they're consistently still having a problem here. Now, this probably seems suicidal to some people, but just run past all these troops. You're going to have to deal with archers potentially. If you get chased, right, you just keep on moving. Or if you get shot, fucker, 46 damage. I'm going to eat your liver for that shit. Now, once you're up here, what I recommend you do is call these forces to me. And the best way to do it is either follow me or to do what I just did right there, right? Assign them to go to a set location. So let's get the 5th up here. The 2nd is already on the way. We'll get the 8th division up here. The 1st division. Oh, you little fucker. So Robert's got a very slow polearm. This is a pretty big detriment in a siege like this, right? That slow polearm is really going to be perilous on the wall. So you got to be, it's very powerful on a horse, but it's obviously like a liability here. Speed is key in Bannerlord. In fact, this guy's just following me around, interrupting me and shit. Get the fuck off me, you little Santa hat motherfucker. Now, the enemy has rallied a bunch of troops over here, and our troops are really having a hard time with the ladder. In fact, is the ladder down? I can't see. Now, the one thing you can do, obviously, with the long polearm like this is use its reach, right? We certainly don't have speed on our side here, but we can use the long length of it. And troops can generally be relied upon to do stupid shit like this, face the other direction, right? You can take advantage of that. Now, it really does look like there's a ladder bugged here, so it would be hard for us to have more things going wrong in this campaign. Oh, they're just not getting up it very well. We're still doing okay, even though our main character here is almost dead. We'll be able to continue this siege because we do have the RTS mod. And I don't know why these troops are not getting up there. Other than, the coding for Bannerlord is still, it's not terrific. We'll put it that way. I think the game is just so convoluted. Every time they fix something, there seems to be more problems that pop up. And I just cannot see. You know what? We've had this problem before. Let's make sure this is what's going on here. Where's this shit? Yeah. A lot of guys are experiencing this problem, and I get your settings when I take over your game. So in this case, look at these guys just won't use it. You assholes. And so obviously this is going to make it next to impossible. All these guys here will not use this ladder no matter what I do. even if I have them follow me, it doesn't seem to fix it. Like I start going up, and this is almost like, you know, an episode Tail Worlds needs to see. You can't siege a city when your units don't do what you want, right? This is basically, I don't want to say it's an impossible mission, but going up one ladder at a time, right? You can see the enemies wailing away on our troops there, and we can't have them use this second ladder. For whatever reason here, I'm going to get pushed to my death. For whatever reason, they just won't go up that ladder. So I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's probably next to impossible, right? You can tell them to charge all you want. They will not go up that ladder, which is, it's disconcerting to say the least. No matter how many times I click things, ain't going to do it. So let's try the other one here. I'm going to get shot and killed probably very soon. And I think in some ways, it's basically showing the weaknesses of the beta, right? When you're playing betas and guys are writing in left and right, this doesn't work. The weapons are broken. It is a beta, friends, right? You have to remember you're driving basically a Tesla before they fixed all the bugs. So if your car slams into a wall and kills your girlfriend, you can't be stunned, right? It can't be something you're amazed, right? You are playing basically an experimental version of Bannerlord. So all I can say in this situation with these various different bugs is this not possible, right? Your troops are clearly not going to use the ladder. We've done every single thing we possibly can here. Even if I charge with everybody, these guys just will not use. It's like they don't see this ladder here at all. Can't explain it to you. Obviously, we're doing the hocus pocus. So what we're going to do is reload here. We're going to fight this battle in the open. And there's one guy that went up, but nobody else will go up. They're consistently having pathfinding issues. Maybe now they're getting up. I don't know. It feels like a bad episode of Viagra where we're having a hard time getting up. And so we are just gonna, I don't know what to do here. I guess we could continue this siege here. My main character's already dead. Tactics are completely out of the question at this stage. These ladders keep getting pushed down. I have no doubt that these guys are also having a hard time using the ladders. And this remains probably one of the most important things for Tail Worlds to fix, is the consistent performance of troops, right? These guys must be able to pick up ladders on their own, right? I don't need to tell you guys that. So what we're going to do here, instead of continuing to struggle through this deficient system still with 1.32, is we're going to fight this battle in the open. Apologies for those who just watched 20 minutes just to learn that the system is not functioning very well still. We are going to reload this battle and fight in the open. They're sort of trying to get up there, and you know, they're doing the hocus pocus down here, and I couldn't tell you what's going on. All right, so a little bit of editing here, and we'll be right back. All right, reloaded this, changed some of the equipment. Same things we did in the previous episodes. Just because I'm a competitive fuck and don't like losing, we're going to obviously show you how to survive this scenario here, right? We're just going to say continue for a second because I do want to make sure we're fighting sort of the worst case scenario outside the city here. This guy Sally's out. They're all excited. They're like, yeah, we've got some shit to kill. And it's still bad, right? We're still outnumbered. This might again be a scenario we lose. We're going to speed this version up. I'm effectively going to do all of the same stuff I did in the first battle. We're just going to do this. We've got a little different location. It's actually probably a superior position because not only do we have this rock to buttress our skirmisher line over here, but it's also uphill again. So we're going to do a lot of the same stuff here. I may or may not talk you through a lot of the different components of it, but we're going to, I think, we're going to be able to win now that we aren't as badly outnumbered. Just toss some of these guys into some of these divisions here. And man, was that siege, you guys watching that siege, it's infuriating still. And you know, it's a real bummer because it does seem like every time Tail Worlds adds a bunch of different features, it creates a bunch of more bugs. And you know, and you have to wonder if they need, you know, to upgrade some department of their development team. It seems like the AI is probably, if I was, you know, I'm sure they're going to write me immediately after I say bad things about them here. But if I was part of their development team, I would be hiring and spending a lot of money on AI because the AI for Bannerlord is very, very functional for someone who's played for a month. And then once you've played for 2 years or 6 months or whatever, it's utter dog shit. It just gets butchered every single battle. It's non-comparative to most other advanced games like this. And that's a real shame, right? Because you would expect in today's age that a game like this, the AI would at least be a lot more functional, right? It's still pretty brutal. And of course the bugs are part of it, right? Not going up a ladder in a siege. It's about the easiest way to break the game. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter how nice the graphics look. If your fucking units don't do what you want them to, you know, I'm sure this sounds like it's turning into a rant. I think on some level it's appropriate for us to rant, right? You know, they've gotta suss out and fix all those little things. Otherwise, the rest of it just doesn't mean anything, right? I mentioned it before. It would be like being married to the most incredible woman, great mother, and she just never brushes her teeth, right? So she's just got permanent halitosis. You know, and if people sound frustrated to tell worlds, it sounds like we're crusty, sounds like we're all just angry. Part of it is that this game really could be one of the best games ever made. It already is a great game, right? I'm still playing it here, thousands of hours into it. But this game realistically could be one of the top 5 games ever made, right there with Skyrim and some of the other stars sort of the gaming world. I don't even have a list of games because I'm not a big gamer. But when you have this many bugs on a regular basis, it's disheartening for sure. And you just wish they would really prioritize fixing the small things. All right, so just cruising through here. Most of this should look the same. Right, our horse archers over here. I'm actually going to counter this little cab charge. You little fuckers trying to cab charge us. Cavalry's deadly now in Bannerlord 1.32, and so even more so than before, you want to prioritize killing these guys, especially the guys with no shields, right? Kill those guys. They're just fodder. These little horse archers here. Any guy that you can kill who's shooting your troops is obviously advantage you. Now, we've just a superior position here. Our 4th division is going to be virtually behind the enemy now. And notice I'm pushing the cavalry up, right, to absorb attention so that they don't get obliterated by all those enemy archers. Here, that's about as close as you want your archers to get to. Time to get these guys out of dodge. The enemy should not be able to keep up with them because, again, we have that fast-moving troop banner. Super valuable in a situation like this. 6th Division, 1st Division, charging in on both flanks. The crossbow is firmly behind the enemy. The archers here can be told to charge. That way every single guy gets line of sight. Both cavalings at this stage can be told to charge, but I still would prefer that at least one cav division was out in front between the archers and your troops. If your troops are exposed to all those archers while they're fighting, they're going to suffer horrendous losses. I mentioned in the first fight, of course, we're defender here, so we're making the enemy come to us, and that's going to, again, be an impact, because all of the remaining vanguard here that's left from the enemy, they're about to get exterminated by our reinforcements. You can almost do like a timer countdown. In about 30 seconds, our reinforcements are going to come out and completely overwhelm the enemy forces here. Unlike that first battle, we have a lot of troops on the field compared to the enemy, and I think the death spam shows that, right? The enemy's being throttled this second fight. Both cavalings, completely defense still. Even with the changes to 1.32, I still really think you want your cavalry playing defense. Unless you have a huge amount of them, they're much better used on defense. Our archers are working. We've got a crossbow division here. I'm actually going to split these archers. Let's put them into the 5th. You know, you want to continue to flank. The other crossbow are out in front and they're still shooting, but they're low on ammo, right? That's definitely going to be an infantry division soon. We've mentioned that in the first one. This crossbow division, again, looking down at that white bar, they've got about 30% of their infantry. Over here, our other infantry's charging just to kind of occupy the enemy. And they're doing pretty good damage. It's a good force. Gotta try not to get shot off of my horse here. At this stage, I recommend pulling that 4th division to the side as well. Make the enemy choose a direction to go to. Over here, the horse archers, pretty low on ammo, and we're still, I think, going to get one more reinforcement division. So this enemy's in a bad spot. They're in a kill box. They are attacking our infantry. They're kind of maligning those guys. Our 8th Corps is sort of distracting here. And here come the reinforcements. Look at all these guys. Now, these guys will run all the way over to where you want them to. What I would prefer you did is just pull them back right? Give them some distance in a spread formation. They're ghetto archers, but once you get them spread out, they won't be. Now this infantry division here, we're going to move it to a flank. You don't want them in the way of all your archers. All these fucking dipshit skirmishers here, they'll run right in the way, and when they do so, they obscure your archers from shooting. We want there to be a funnel from where the enemy is and our archers. That way, all of our archers are just spraying arrows in here. Now, once your skirmishers are to the side, they could charge, but I'm actually going to keep pulling them away from the enemy. You see all the javelins that are in there? I want them pulling away from the enemy. Charge at the 4th on the other side. Back up our 5th here very, very briefly. Just buy them a little bit of time. The 1st could charge. That 4th we can charge to make sure that they have line of sight. Now that they're spread, they can be charged nicely. The 6th can charge. The 5th can charge now that they've bought us a little bit of time here. The skirmishers, they're fighting a decent little batch of the enemy here. We can help clear some. Let's see, they got a bunch of archers still. Let's set the skirmishers in on them on a shield wall. The 5th division of archers here should be able to clean up the rest of this infantry, or at least it's going to be close. Don't swing your fist. Use your weapon. Now, this is the advantage of that spread. This division, even though it's full of scrubs, is turning into a really beneficial division. While our regular archers are being strafed and hammered and beat to shit, all these little weak archers, they're getting their shaky bow on, and look who they're shooting. They're smoking peasants. That kiting that we did there, that separation of units, might be the reason you win a battle like this, or not. Right? This might be a battle you lost last week. You add some tactics to the mix, and I think it should be possible. We just got another wave of recruits. Let's have them charge. And this battle should be over. Where's our infantry division? They put it in a weird division sometimes. It's the 5th. Have all those peasants charge. I saw this happen. Black Friday sale, right? There's a microwave for sale. There's a high-def TV that'll be obsolete in 2 years, boys. Get up here. Yeah, yeah. And they're buying time, right? They're going to get exterminated quickly. But while they're doing that, these archers on the flank are raking. We can help seal the deal here with a couple critical kills. Little Fiend champ, fucker. Fiend's priority, right? These fuckers are killing tons of your enemy troops. I promise. Whoops. These little fuckers right here. Palatine guards. Any guy who's got armor, that's your priority. You can kill the low-ranking guys and it'll help, but on a battle like this, in close battles, your vision should start to get basically honed in to the higher level troops on the battlefield. And that, of course, that'll help your army win. Don't waste your swings on the troops. Your troops are easily going to kill themselves, right? Kill their best troops. Throw yourself into the fray at moments like this where the enemy's sort of mounting their last offensive. Our archers are spraying arrows everywhere. Die like a hero. Don't attack routing troops, right? The troops that are routing don't care anymore. They're off the battlefield. These guys here. And there are times where your troops will chase them. You're better off actually pulling your troops to your actual target, right? You could even do this. You could tell all your troops, go this direction. I don't want you chasing the guys that are running off the battlefield. I want you coming over here to the actual threat. These guys right here, kill them. All right, long episode today. We're famous for that shit. Appreciate you if you made it to this stage. Robert, thanks for sending in this save file. I love working with you fellas in this series. And it wasn't what I hoped. I hoped we would have won all 3 of these scenarios. We wouldn't even have done this 3rd one had we won one of the first 2. But at least we get our win on here at the end of this battle. Still seriously outnumbered. And I can assure you we were outgunned, right? They had far better troops than us. In this case, look at this beautiful shit. 300 upgrades. So in this scenario, if you're rolling around very quickly, your army upgrades to a monster. All right, friends, thanks for watching our Disaster of War series. Of course, the email's listed in the video description if you want to participate in this series. I am still behind on episodes, but more than likely I will get to all of them before I die, before I leave this planet. Thanks again for watching, friends, and I will see you next time.